did you two connect? I want to know how this happened. Yeah, because it's magical.
That's a story for John to start, and then I'll come in when.
Yeah. John, yeah. Carry on, sir. Yes.
Well, I think it's as a writer director, I think I spend a long time by myself in a dark room, putting these things together and building these characters, and then at a certain point, it's like, okay, I can't play this character anymore in my own mind. I have to find somebody who can really embody that and take it to another level. Again, as I always say, my wife will kill me if I don't say that she was the one that turned me on to Richard. She was actually binge watching The 100 while I was doing these final rewrites, and she just kept saying, "Oh, this guy's so good. He's so intense. You have to see this actor. He's local." And I thought, "Oh, geez, I'd heard of him, but I wasn't too familiar with his work. And the more that I watched of The 100 and the other film and TV work, I just thought this guy's got this intensity and this really dark, brooding thing just down pat, and and he just had this great look. And I just the more I looked at it, the more I couldn't really separate the character from the actor. I just thought, I got to reach out to this guy. And it was kind of the old story where I just contacted his agent, sent a script, and then I think it was like a week later, I heard he wants to meet with you. So I thought, perfect.
I think I was shooting in LA, and it got a call from my agent. They explained it. They had a script that they wanted me to read. Said, great, sounds fun. I always want to read more scripts. It's always so exciting when you start a new script. You never know, are you going to love it, or are you going to hate it, or are you going to be so indifferent? And I most definitely was not indifferent to the script when I read it. I dare say I almost liked it, John.
Almost.
Oh, I know. I really liked it, and then I came to the end of it, and I was like, what the hell does that mean? I was like, I want to meet this guy. What the? Can I swear on here? What the fuck was that last bit there?
Yeah.
So we met up, and yeah, I think I ended that. I flew up to Vancouver to come back home, and we met like 2 days later. We had coffee. It went really well. And
John's such a nice guy. You can't say no to this guy.
Can be, yes. But you should see him in the middle of a very cold island with a broken ankle, screaming orders from a chair.
What was it like shooting in the woods?
Cold and lovely, but it was the film. It was the story. Being out there, it was so beautiful, and yeah, I mean, that's all I can say about it. It was really just. It was the story. There were some points where I just remember just hating it. So that kind of cold that gets right into your bones, kind of surpasses your muscle and goes right to your bone. It was that kind of cold.
Acting.
And it was unpleasant but beautiful, which is what I'll say for the movie. It's unpleasant but beautiful.
Amazing.
You can put my review of it, John, on the.
I'll do that.
Yeah.
The star of the movie. The star of the movie says unpleasant yet beautiful.
I mean, Woodland has been in development for a while. I mean, kind of my whole life. I grew up playing in the woods, and I feel like that's all I ever want to do in all my projects. But especially with this one, I mean, we're filming like entirely in the outdoors, and it's not without its issues, weather being one of them, but it feels like it's my happy place. So I think, when I was writing my first feature, it was just a no-brainer that it had to have the strong kind of outdoor element. But also, I've told a bit of the story in other interviews, but I always had a dark room in my house. I was always obsessed with my dad's film equipment, and he always had old cameras around, antique cameras, and you'd go out and shoot something, and you wouldn't know what you got until you brought it back to the dark room. Wow. You drop it in that chemical bath, and you'd see, first of all, if it was in focus, if you got anything at all, but this story that you wanted to tell, or this image that you were so excited to capture, just kind of comes to life before your eyes. And I thought, what a magical kind of place, but also what a great device for a psychological thriller or kind of a horror film. So it was always kind of this idea in the back of my mind that I wanted to do something in that space. And also, earlier on in my career, I spent a lot of time shooting outdoor shows,
Yeah.
traveling up and down the west coast of BC, traveling to Haida Gwaii, really remote areas where you'd have to take 3-4 planes in that would continuously get smaller and smaller
Wow.
as you reach your destination, which is right in the opening of the film,
Yeah.
Woodland. So I think I drew a lot of inspiration from those trips too, where I'd be in these incredibly isolated, kind of creepy environments, but it's so beautiful at the same time. And people would come, and to them it would be like paradise.
Yeah.
And for some people, it was kind of like it was their escape. And so I was always interested in kind of returning to those spaces and those types of people too that I met along the way.
When I think about what you're visually painting for me, and this is something that's very, very deep in your mindset, and
Mm-hmm.
I want to ask Richard now. Did you feel that when you read the script, and like, what Jon just said? What did you feel when you first read the script?
I mean, it's sort of, I mean, the love for everything he's just kind of getting at right there sort of comes across on the page, and no doubt did the first time I read it. You could kind of, you see the woods and the forest and the sprawling landscapes in your head when you're reading without having to look up what Haida Gwaii looked like, which I knew like a base sort of level of what Haida Gwaii looked like, but I could see it so vividly in my head when you're reading the script. And then the same thing of just sort of this character's sort of passion for the development of the film and stuff like that, except it's almost like it's begrudging at this point for the character. It's something that sort of, he thought it was going to go so differently for himself in his life. And it still is this thing he loves and something that I believe that he's good at, but it's almost like every single time he's developing these things, it's taking a little bit out of him because it's just not ever going his way.
Canadian film in general, it leans a little bit more towards the art house. And I definitely enjoy those films. But, my very first cinema experience that I can recall is watching Tim Burton's Batman in a drive-in theater, when I was 6 years old. And it was like an earth-shattering experience. And then a few years later, seeing Jurassic Park and my first late show that my dad took me to in the cinema. And, those are the films, the genre films really kind of formed my film brain, I think, over the years. And it's always been kind of back and forth. I love the artsy films. I love the genre films for the, escapism and for, the adventure that it takes you on. And so, I think as my style or my voice as a filmmaker has developed over the years, it's kind of been trying to meld those two a little bit, where
I like when they come together.
Yeah, and it's rare that they come together. I think,
Kumbaya.
yeah, it's something that I was trying to do, because definitely I like to take the a little bit more artistic take, not necessarily spelling everything out for the audience,
Mm-hmm.
and for people that see the film, hopefully they enjoy it, they get it, and it doesn't necessarily hand you every piece of information on a silver platter. I mean, the main kind of MacGuffin in the film is the fact that Richard's character, Jake, he shoots these photos that are revealing his future, and we never even talk about it. We never even say it out loud, once the whole film. And I'm really proud of that. And if people, get how that device works and how it pays off throughout the film without me having to spoon feed, to me, that's like the best combination of kind of genre filmmaking and art house filmmaking. And that's definitely, the next film that I'm writing and the stories that I like to tell.
Richard, I'm going to ask you, what was your favorite part that you filmed in any of the scenes that you had?
Just to be able to work opposite Phil for just 10 minutes straight, just him and me going at each other. Oh, I can't tell you how good it felt. It was such a pleasure, especially like what you were saying after a couple of weeks of just that fast paced going through it, which was fantastic. But just to slow it down for a second and kind of bring the whole movie, because we got all these, pieces everywhere. And then that scene, without giving anything away, really is the scene that brings it all into one. And for us to be able to do that, just two of us over 10 minutes of just speaking without ever like, also at the same time, never giving any like exposition as to like, and this is what the film means. It's still the two of us hiding things from each other and never being all that upfront about what we're going through, but still finding a way to convey it to each other and the audience at the same time. It was such a pleasure to be able to do that scene.
I want to add something, Richard. I mean, that is a true testament to your professionalism as an actor, you know, and I want to take it one step further. Like, you know, as an actor, you know, tell me about some of the influences that you have that you really feed off of. You know, tell me some of your influences. Yeah.
In my life, like what is influence?
Yeah, in your work. Yeah, in your work and life. Yeah. Because it comes out in your work. Something's coming out there. And it's pretty, because, you know, talking about the 100 other projects you've done and this beautiful film here, you know, there's something you're drawing, or is there an influence, and what is that?
I think the influence is just, I grew up around sets, you know, like my dad was a first AD and also a director and is now a director full time. And I just remember going to visit sets. You know, we didn't get to go that much, but I would go and see my dad at work or something or another like that. I just see it's sort of like, you know, it's like you want to eat the hot dog. You don't want to know how it gets made. You don't want to see behind the scenes as to what they're putting in there. It was the opposite. I fell in love with just being able to see how film worked and, you know, how the grips are doing things and all that. Well, not even in a technical sense. I don't spend too much time trying to understand every single job on it. I just like to sit there and watch it get done. And then that just led to me being, when acting started to work, I'm not saying it's worked out, but I think it's been going okay so far. So when that happened, I just know what it takes for everyone else to do their job properly and well, and how much everyone cares. And I also care that much. I care a great deal about what I do. Definitely on this movie, this was one of the most experimental ones I ever did. Usually I have a very strict sort of way of doing things. This movie was a bit of a, you know, we definitely did some different things for sure. But I think it turned out, and as long as Jon's happy, that's what I always say. As long as you're happy, man, then we're getting it done.
And yeah, it says Jon. I mean, you know, I've known you for a long time, and I every time that I see you putting out something, or the way that even working with you, I mean, it's professional. It's thoughtful. It's you're hitting all the parts that you need to hit to make a full production happen. And I wanted to ask you about your influences and your you know what really brings you to life during this work.
Wow, thank you so much. I mean, yeah, we've myself and my producer and the cinematographer partner, Andy Hodgson, who we talked about already. You know, we produce a lot of content over the years, and you know, it's always been with the goal to, you know, lead to the feature length films. I was overjoyed at the synergy that we all had, and every crew member had read the script, and they're asking me, you know, between scenes, what does this mean, and when, and what happens when he does this, and everybody's so interested in the story, and that I was so, you know, blown away by that too, just how invested everybody was.